Good afternoon, and thank you very much for joining our Joint Credit Mechanism webinar. I'm your host, Kaoru Yamaguchi from Global Environment Center Foundation. This year's theme for JCM webinars is Accelerating the Transition Towards Decarbonization through JCM. And we are very happy to start this year's series of JCM webinars with Indonesia. So before we officially begin today's event, I just have a couple of housekeeping announcements for the audience. The first item is Q&A. We will be holding a Q&A after each session during this webinar today. So please feel free to submit us your questions through the Q&A feature, which can be found on a menu bar on your Zoom screen at the bottom of your Zoom screen. Please remember two things that when you submit your questions. The first thing is please write your questions in English, and also please remember to write the name or names of the speakers that your question is for, so that when we take up your questions, we will know which person to invite back to the screen. And the second item of the announcement is about questionnaire. When you exit this webinar, you'll see a questionnaire appear on your web browser. Please take a moment to answer it, as it will help us greatly to improve our future events, and we very much value your feedback. So with those out of the way, let's begin with the first part of the seminar, opening remarks. I'd like to invite the first guest speaker, Mr. Ferry Ardianto. He's an Assistant Deputy Minister for Multilateral Economic Cooperation, Coordinated Ministry for Economic Affairs of Indonesia. So Mr. Ferry Ardianto, if you could, wonder if you could turn the camera on. And we are ready for your opening remarks if you're ready. Our team is working on turning the camera on for Mr. Ardianto. So just to give you just a couple minutes. And perhaps while we wait for Mr. Ardianto to come to the screen, I just wanted to perhaps say that we have two sessions after this opening remarks, and we'll be taking questions for both sessions. Mr. Ardianto, are you here?
Yes, I'm ready.
Okay, so floor is yours
but
now.
I cannot put my camera on.
Okay, no problem.
Okay.
Whenever you're ready.
Okay, thank you, Yamaguchi-san. Mr. Masato Usui, Minister for Economic Affairs and Development, Embassy of Japan in Indonesia. Mr. Sunsuke Kudo, Planning Officer for the Joint Credit Mechanism, Office of the Director for International Cooperation for Transition to Decarbonization and Sustainable Infrastructure, Global Environment Bureau, Ministry of Environment, Government of Japan. Mr. Yuji Kimura, Executive Director, Head of Tokyo Office, Global Environment Center Foundation. Mr. Hiroshi Takahashi, Director, Financing Program Group, Tokyo Office, Global Environment Center Foundation. Mr. Akiko Ishikawa, Manager, Financing Program Group, Tokyo Office, Global Environment Center Foundation. Mr. Shintaro Fujii, Fund Manager, Japan Fund for the Joint Credit Mechanism, Environment and Climate Change Specialist, Asian Development Bank. Mr. Wataru Soshio, Director and Executive Officer, Nix Corporation Limited. Mr. Masanori Fujii, Project Manager, International Project Division, Oriental Consultant Corporation Limited. My fellow presenter and distinguished participant, ladies and gentlemen, Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Good afternoon. Jimmy Maste, Ferrides. I'm the Assistant Deputy Minister for Multilateral Economic Cooperation, who also has responsibility as the co-chair of the Joint Creating Mechanism Joint Committee on Indonesian side. It is my privilege today to welcome you all, the participants, to our webinar on the Jcm implementation in Indonesia with a theme accelerating the transition toward the decarbonization through Jcm. This workshop is organized by the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs of Indonesia, Ministry of Environment of Japan, Indonesia JCM Secretariat, and Global Environment Center Foundation. Ladies and gentlemen, Bapak dan Ibu sekalian, the government of Indonesia and the government of Japan established the JCM in 2013 and have implemented JCM project to promote investment and deployment of decarbonizing technologies, product, system, services, and infrastructure to achieve decarbonized growth in Indonesia. The implementation of Jcm Indonesia is a long journey of a bilateral partnership for the economy, technology, capacity building, and investment, which encourage the private sector as an essential player in reducing greenhouse gas emission. To date, there are 49 JSM projects implemented in Indonesia, of which 12 projects have issued carbon credit. It is not merely about the reduction of greenhouse gas emission, but the implementation of JSM also brings benefit to project participants in the form of increased production efficiency, better product quality, and the production cost saving. However, the achievement doesn't stop there, as the success story of JCM projects are encouraging either participant or non-participant to replicate the low carbon technology as a part of their investment decisions. Through the JCM, various types of low carbon technology have been introduced, covering many sectors, including energy efficiency, renewable energy, deforestation and forest degradation, waste management, and the manufacturing industry. While many projects implement energy efficiency, renewable energy is getting bigger attention to support the promotion and expansion of clean energy in Indonesia. You know that within the framework of JCM, it is also possible for cities in both countries, Indonesia and Japan, to conduct a city-to-city cooperation on low carbon development. This collaboration emphasizes capacity building and economic cooperation between cities, as well as feasibility studies and project implementation. One good example of such city-to-city cooperation is between Toyama City and Semarang City, the city where we are organizing this webinar right now on a hybrid basis. Based on this collaboration, a cleaner public transportation project has been agreed to install the compressed natural gas converter on a bus rapid transit project in Semarang, which is called the Trans Semarang, which we visited yesterday. Considering the good progress and benefit derived from this bilateral scheme, last May, the two countries agreed to extend cooperation until 2030. So in addition to strengthening the effort of both countries to achieve international commitment under the Paris Agreement, the extension will also enable the greater participation of non-state actors in decarbonization. Ladies and gentlemen, Bapak Ibu sekalian, as you may all know that Indonesia hold the G20 presidency in this year, and one of the priorities brought up into the G20 discussion is energy transition, a crucial process in achieving decarbonization. The theme of Recover Together, Recover Stronger has a message that the G20 could lead by example on how the collaboration that we are doing today, including the Jsm cooperation, will strengthen the effort to recover from the crisis. I hope you will enjoy today's interesting webinar and gain useful experience from the implementation of JCM Indonesia. On this very useful occasion of the Indonesia G20 presidency, I encourage you to join the Jsm scheme to achieve the decarbonized growth as well as to support sustainable development in Indonesia. Through JCM, we hope that there will be many follow-up activities that can imitate JCM for the achievement of national and global goals in low carbon development implementation, which is in line with the G20 mission to sustain global economic growth. Thank you. Assalamualaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ardianto, for the opening remarks. And I would like to invite the next guest speaker, Mr. Masato Usui. He's a Minister for Economic Affairs and Development at Embassy of Japan in Indonesia for the opening remarks. So, Mr. Usui, you have the floor now.
Bapak Ferry Ardianto, Assistant Deputy Minister for Multi-Economic Cooperation for the Coordinating Ministry of Foreign Affairs, Economic Affairs, and distinguished organizers, ladies and gentlemen. It is needless to say that climate change is an urgent issue to tackle, and it can only be tackled under international cooperation. Under the G20 presidency, based on the leadership by Indonesian government, energy transition is one of the main topics which is being discussed in the G20 process this year. And in the COP26 last November, we completed the Paris rule, including the market of the Article 6. The long experiences of the JCM contributed to this success. The JCM under Article 6 of the Paris Rulebook facilitate investment of decarbonizing, effectively contributing to the GHG emissions reductions or removals and sustainable development in partner countries. And at the same time, it also contributes to the achievement of NDC, Japan, and Indonesia. So far, we have conducted 44 JCM projects in Indonesia, which is one of the largest numbers in the JCM countries. And this May, we extended the duration of the JCM between Indonesia and Japan until 2030. And the investment for decarbonization is welcomed in Indonesia. We aim to contribute to international emission reductions and removals at the level of calculated total approximately 100 million tons of CO2 by fiscal year 2030. It is not easy to go, but I'm sure that we can learn the best practices together today. I hope that today's seminar is fruitful and useful for participants, and that many companies and organizations are interested in JCM scheme in Indonesia. By collaboration between private sector and public sector, we would like to conclude, contribute to the achievement of both countries' NDCs. I would like to conclude my remarks by wishing this webinar a great success by providing beneficial information and generating innovative discussions for all participants. Terima kasih atas perhatian Anda. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Usui, and I'd like to thank both Mr. Ardianto and Mr. Usui for the kind remarks and also setting the scene for by introducing some of the key topics and themes for today's event, which I'm certain that the presenters will be taking up and explore further in their presentations. So now we're moving on to the next session, information sharing on the JCM progress. And we'll be taking questions for this session, so please feel free to send us questions through the Q&A feature. And so with that, I would like to introduce the first speaker, Mr. Shunsuke Kudo. He's a planning officer for the Joint Credit Mechanism at Office of Director for International Cooperation for Transition to Decarbonization and Sustainable Infrastructure, Global Environment Bureau at the Ministry of the Environment, Japan. with a presentation entitled Japan's Policy for Carbon Neutrality and the Role of JCM. So with that, Mr. Kudo, you have the floor.
Thank you very much. So thank you very much for everyone. Thank you for participating in today's webinar. My name is Shunsuke Kudo from Ministry of the Environment, Japanese government. I'm in charge of JCM and also in charge of the negotiation of the Article 6 under the Paris Agreement. I'm very happy to make a presentation about Japan's policy for carbon neutrality and the role of JCM. Could you show my presentation? Yes, okay. So please, next slide, please. So this slide shows Japanese government's target of GHG emission. So long-term goal, our goal is net zero emission by 2050. And mid-term target is a 46% emission reduction by 2030 compared to 2013. So the latest data shows in 2020, we already reduced the 18.4% reduction to 2013. But so the 46% by 2030 is a very, very ambitious target. So in order to achieve this target, we plan to use the credit getting by through the JCM. Next slide, please. So in this slide, so under the JCM, we already established the partner country. We already have 17 partner countries, and we already have implemented over 200 projects under JCM. Under the JCM, Japan will support the introduction of decarbonization technology in partner country, and also support the reduction of carbon dioxide in partner countries. Currently, Japan has two numerous targets about JCM. The first target is reduce 100 million tons of CO2 worldwide by 2030. This target was determined by cabinet decision as of 2021. The second target is to increase the number of partner countries to 30 by 2025 in order to further expand the JCM. In this way, so the government of Japan is making a great effort towards the further expansion of JCM. Next slide, please. In this slide, I would like to explain the basic concept of JCM. JCM aims to introduce decarbonization technology in partner country and contributes to decarbonization. Not only decarbonization, but also the sustainable development in partner country. And also we aim to contribute to NDC of both countries, Japan and partner country. So in order to achieve the NDC goals, so Jcm should be consistent with the guidance of cooperative approach referred to Article 6, Paragraph 2 of Paris Agreement, especially the corresponding adjustment scheme. Next slide, please. This slide shows the implementation of status of JCM projects in worldwide. Yeah, as you can see, so in Thailand, Vietnam, and Indonesia is three big partner countries for Japan. So in these three countries, we already implement over 40 projects. In Indonesia, we already have 44 projects. So 16 renewable projects and 24 energy efficiency projects. So as you can see, so Indonesia is a very important partner country for Japan. Next slide, please. This slide shows a concrete example of the JCM finance project in Indonesia. Left upper side, this picture shows a 10 megawatt mini hydropower plant project in North Sumatra from 2016. The bottom left side, so that this picture shows the energy efficient refrigerants to cold chain industry in Bakassi. The above middle of this slide, so this slide shows the energy saving at convenience stores this is in the Jakarta. The bottom of mid side, so this picture shows the power generation by the waste heat recovery in cement industry in Tuban. In the right side, so this project is already mentioned. So this project is regarding the transportation, so introduction of the CNG diesel hybrid equipment to public works in Semarang. So next slide, please. This slide shows an example of JCM financing program, not only from Indonesia, but also another partner countries. So we have various types of projects. For example, so top right side, the biomass cogeneration system was installed in Thailand, and the binary power generation project at the geothermal power plant was installed in Philippines. In the bottom of middle of bottom, so we also have the project about waste. For example, the waste to energy plant was installed in Myanmar. As you can see, so we have a various type of projects under the JCM. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a percentage of the JCM project. So far implemented by category. So around 50% of projects were related to renewable energy. For example, solar and micro hydropower and wind power. And so around the 40% projects were related to energy efficiency projects. For example, boiler and air conditioner and so on. Next slide, please. So this slide shows a financial support scheme proposed by the Ministry of the Environment of the Japanese government. In this financial scheme, so our budget is $171 million per year. So we can support from 30% to 50% project cost in advance. So the Japanese government supports the international consortium, which includes a Japanese entity. So we can support around 30 to 50% of the project cost in advance. Next slide, please. So next slide, we also support not only directly from the Japanese government, but also we have supporting scheme through the ADB, Asia Development Bank. We call this fund the Jcm. This fund also supports the JCM project. So in this project supporting schemes, so after my presentation, Global Environmental Center Foundation, we call JEC, and Asian Development Bank, ADB, will make a presentation about this supporting scheme. They will explain in detail of this scheme. So next slide, please. Okay, thank you very much. So I will stop here. So as I said in my presentation, so Japanese government make a big effort for expansion of the JCM, expansion of the countries and expansion of the programs. So we strongly look forward to your proposal for a wide range of variety of projects. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kudo, for that presentation. And I would like to invite next two guest speakers from Indonesia. Mr. Diki Edwin Hindarto is a senior advisor from Indonesia JCM Secretariat, as well as Mr. Chayadi Yudodahono is the head of Indonesia JCM Secretariat at Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs of Indonesia. They'll give us a presentation entitled Contribution to Decarbonization, the Implementation of the Joint Crediting Mechanism in Indonesia. And I heard that there was a bit of a technical issue with the camera, so let's see.
Yeah, thank you very much. I don't know, I cannot open my camera, maybe because you stop it, but I can start. I can start the presentation now.
Okay. And just Diki-san, I think we can send a request to turn your camera on. It will show up with like a little screen on your.
Yeah, but I cannot open it. Sorry.
Oh, sorry about
that. Please, I will start the presentation, and thank you very much for participants already joined, and we are very glad to deliver Indonesia current situation on the GCM and on the carbon market. So yeah, I don't know why this is maybe Japanese system. Okay, okay. Please start the presentation. The sharing, please. Yeah, apology for yeah, thank you very much. My title of presentation is the contribution of the carbonization for the, okay, finally I can see my own face. Yeah. The implementation of the joint credit mechanism in Indonesia. And I will share this presentation with Pak Cahyadi. So I will present some slides and then continue by Pak Cahyadi. Next. Yeah. Here we can see the long-term strategy that we have. Indonesia already have some strategy in terms of the low emission development. And here, the latest, the carbonization policy that we have is the long-term strategy on low carbon and climate resilience, or LTS-RCCR for 2050, that already delivered on 2021, that indicates ambitious target to be implemented in the AVOLU, energy, IPPU, and waste sectors. And on the more ambitious target, the primary energy mix consists of coal. Yes, we will still have coal in 34%, and gas 25%, oil 8%, and renewable energy 33% in 2050. The additional mitigation through building street lighting by fuels and everything also will be done by using the energy efficiency. And then we also have the presidential regulation on carbon pricing, number 98 2021. And this is the internalization of the emission externalities with the polluters pay principle, regulate trading and non-trading instruments, including carbon offset. And the ministerial decree for carbon pricing now is still under preparation. So we are now currently waiting for this ministerial decree to implement all of the carbon pricing implementation in Indonesia. And the latest is we have what we call the green taxonomy. Green taxonomy encourage green investment in Indonesia, and we also give some value on the green investment that then can be implemented in Indonesia by ratings. And in the below the pictures here, you can see that if we can do it well, so the emission reduction can be slowing down and then reduce not only like in business usual, but we can reduce a lot in 2050. Next. And then we also have what we call the Indonesia Net Zero Emission Strategy. You can see in here that we still have coal until 2050, but we try to reduce it. So this is our strategy that had been developed in 2020 and 2021. And I think there are also some new regulation and strategy that now are being still discussed. Cahyadi-san, please.
Thank you very much, Pak Diki. Good afternoon, colleagues and ladies and gentlemen. So I will continue the presentation, and I will introduce what we already know, but maybe part of you know, but the joint crediting mechanism. As already mentioned earlier by Pak Ferry, that this cooperation is started in 2013 which is far before the Paris Agreement concluded, and that driven by decarbonization. So with this cooperation, leading technology and panel support, also capacity building will be facilitated to Indonesia to be implemented in JCM project, and through the methodologies that also applying monitoring, reporting, and verification that is developed by both countries. This its project, the JCM project, will result the reduction of emission GHG emission, which is also called by the JCM carbon credits that can be used by both countries to fulfill their international commitment in climate. Next slide, please. And this is the structure of the JCM, which is both government will operational this scheme in the joint committee, which is the highest what do you call the highest body in JCM that set the rules and guidelines, methodology, registration of project and credit issuance, and also discuss a general implementation of JCM. And there are also secretariat from both countries, in Japan and Indonesia, that help joint committee to run this scheme. We can see in this slide there are project participants that contribute to this scheme that is also a key player for the implementation of low carbon technology, and also a third-party entity to ensure that all of JCM activities is validated and verified of its carbon issuance. Next slide, please. And if you are familiar with some initiative like clean development mechanism from UNFCCC, this project cycle similar, and we can see that it is include several key players, which is already mentioned in the previous slide, from methodology submission until the end of cycle is carbon credit issuance. Next slide, please. And in JCM, we applied many technologies from energy efficiency and also renewable energies, from biomass until cogeneration, and also in advanced process control in oil refinery industry, and also cover a lot of sectors from a convenience store until a lot energy consumption company like in cement industry or in oil refinery. This is all covered in our 49 project right now, and also spreading in Indonesia from Sumatra until the western part of Indonesia until eastern part in Maluku and also Nusa Tenggara. Next slide. This is example of JCM project in renewable energy. It is implemented in Aceh by PT Primanusa and Aura Green Energy, which is power generation from the residue of palm oil factories. And this is also contributing to clean energy to grid electric power in Indonesia. Next slide. We also have 10 mini hydropower plants implemented in 6 provinces from North Sumatra until Maluku, and the expected GHG emission reduction is about 173,000 tons CO2 per year. One project is already run, and other projects, because of but the pandemic, some have reschedule the implementation and still running until right now. And the next slide is about the project that already mentioned by Pak Ferry, which is in Semarang. It is from city-to-city cooperation between Toyama City and Semarang to implement to install 72 CNG diesel in public bus in Semarang. And next, we also have 5 solar power generation projects, which is including 9 Indonesian companies and also 6 Japanese companies. The location is from Sumatra, Jakarta, West Java, Central Java, East Java, Banten, Bali, and also in Riau Island. And the expected GHG emission reduction is about 7,700 tons CO2 per year. That is some information about Jcm, and then I will give back to Pak Diki. Will explain about the way forward of Jcm implementation. Thank you, Pak Diki.
Thank you, Pak Cahyadi. Yeah. If we talk about the Jcm, it can be separate from the decarbonization and low carbon development, not only Indonesia, but also in the 17 countries that already implement the Jcm. So Indonesia itself has its unique challenges, and we think that learning from the Indonesia challenges, then we can do the Jcm better in the future. So here the potential collaboration that can be done in Indonesia and that can be implemented well in Indonesia if then the Japan government and the Japan companies then or other companies from other countries also can collaborate with us to develop the solar energy industries. The solar panel and its component, it is very prospective in Indonesia, and then the energy efficient equipment production. In the Jcm implementation, we have more than 30 projects and energy efficiency, and all of it can be replicated in Indonesia. And in some technologies, the Jcm already start to produce this equipment in Indonesia. And then the low carbon technologies, other low carbon technologies that can be done with the collaboration of private sectors and the government in Indonesia. We can develop cogeneration, combined heat and power, waste recovery, waste to energy, CCUS, and energy storage system. All of the technologies here are being implemented in Indonesia, excluding the CCUS. CCUS is still under detailed feasibility studies, and soon we hope that we will have our first CCUS. And then electric vehicle, the e-car, e-bike, e-scooter, and any other electric vehicle can be implemented well, Indonesia, if then Indonesia also will work together with Japan and other developed countries to develop battery and its components. Next. Yeah. If we see here, the challenges not only come from Indonesia for the internal country of Indonesia, but also this is the challenges that come from the global situation. We have tried to reduce the coal consumption in Indonesia, but suddenly there are a very high demand on coal from the global side, and we experience now the coal dramatically then rising exponentially. The price of the coal is rising exponentially due to Russo-Ukrainian war. So the price now, the Indonesia coal price now is around more than 350 US dollars per ton, and not only affected by the war, but the price of this dirtiest fossil fuel has also soared by the hot weather in North Asia and Europe, increases the need for air conditioning and the industrial recovery post-pandemic. So it makes our strategy not only in Jcm but also in other decarbonization strategy then must change due to this condition. Next. Yeah, this is other challenges that we must face currently because of oversupply on grid electricity due to COVID and the recession that caused by the COVID and the Russian war. So we have oversupply more than 40% in Java, Madura, and Bali electricity, and then increasing gas price, while Indonesia is highly dependent on imported LPG. And currently more than 70% of electricity produced by PLN are coming from coal power generation. This makes some of our projects are still on hold, particularly our solar projects, because PLN encourages the use of electrical stove in household and discourages the newly installed solar rooftop projects in Indonesia. So we have no limitation from PLN for solar power projects from 100% into 50% of capacity. But we hope that this will not be permanent, and we hope that soon PLN then and the government then can withdraw this limitation. But some of our projects now are still being held because of this. So this is our current challenges on the Jcm. And I thank you very much for the opportunity to deliver the current Indonesia situation on the Jcm implementation. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diki-san and Chair Di-san, for the very comprehensive presentation. It's always great to hear from Indonesian side and your own experience. I think it was especially valuable for our audience to hear directly from you about potential areas of collaboration. I think it was a great seeds for ideas for our audience. So with that, I'd like to introduce next guest speaker, Mr. Hiroshi Takahashi. He's a director at Financing Program Group at Global Environment Center Foundation, with the presentation entitled Financing Program for JCM Model Projects. So Mr. Takahashi, the floor is yours.
Okay, thank you for the kind introduction. Selamat siang. Good afternoon. My name is Hiroshi Takahashi of Global Environmental Center Foundation, or GEC. I'd like to express my gratitude for this opportunity and extend a warm welcome to all the participants here today. As an implementing organization for financing program of JCM model project, we make effort to complete each project to start the operation and contribute to the pressing issue of global warming. I'm willing to talk about outline of the model project and refer some key project and trend of the model project. I hope my presentation will be helpful for all of you having interest in the JCM. So let me share my screen. So just a moment, please. Okay. So this is agenda of my presentation for today. I welcome your comment or question. I will answer afterward. Then I'll start from JCM model project overview. JCM model project started in 2013. Indonesia signed bilateral cooperation for a low carbon partnership between Japan and joined the JCM on 26 August in the year. Then the model project have been stacking up every year in Indonesia. This world map shows all the projects supported by JCM financing program. ADB is a Japan fund for JCM. So, or we call it Jcm. It provides the financial incentives for the adoption of advanced decarbonizing technologies, which are superior in greenhouse gas emission reduction. Jcm or ADB count 5 projects worldwide now. F-gas is a project of freon gas, which is one of a popular greenhouse gas. The activity or this project is distracting freon gas from used equipment and will never release it into air not to harm environment. This count 4 projects and 2 lead plus project. The Jcm model project, which reduce greenhouse gas emission by utilizing leading decarbonizing technology in partner countries, count 203. So till now, total 214 projects have been introduced all over the world by JCM financing program supported by Ministry of Environment Japan. From the beginning of the opening year of 2013, JCM model project has been stacking up the number of projects every year. This figure gives you overview of the number of projects from back to front is by year, and horizontally, partner countries are in line. This includes the first selection of this year, which will pile up more toward end of the year. Indonesia has been constantly adding the number of selection after joining the JCM, which shows close relationship between Indonesia and Japan. Okay, this slide is already explained by Mr. Kudo of MOEJ, so I will skip this. There are partner countries which Japan has established the JCM bilateral agreement. So far, 17 countries have joined or signed the JCM agreement, and the Japanese government hope to add more countries as JCM partner countries. This shows the scheme of financing program for the JCM model project. GEC is an implementing organization who undertakes the administrative work for the JCM model project. Selected project will be able to receive financial support on the facilities or equipment with advanced technology, decarbonizing technology for the reduction of greenhouse gas emission. The point of this scheme is to utilize finance for advanced technology and products. The finance is to be used for equipment or facility which is not yet popular in the country due to being costly, even though it has a great capacity or capability or performance to reduce emission gas effectively. This left part of this figure shows conventional system, usually focusing on minimizing initial cost and doesn't care much for greenhouse gas emission reduction. On the other hand, on the right part, Jcm model project focuses on introduction of the system that contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas emission. It finances initial cost of equipment to be competitive with referenced conventional system. So using this scheme, they can introduce system both cost advantageous and eco-friendly. The emission reduction you made will be monitored, reported, and validated and issued as credit, which will be shared between Indonesia and Japan. This shows the development step of Jcm model project. When developing a project, what you do first is to find a Japanese partner to cooperate with. The next presentation of Jcm Global Match will be helpful for the matchmaking. Proposals can be submitted by the Japanese partner. GEC assess and evaluate each proposals and select project with MOEJ. Then they proceed to contract of finance and they are able to start their project. This is the timeline of the model project for this fiscal year starting in April. We will accept proposals till end of November. We are receiving many excellent proposals. On July 1st, we could announce the result of the first selection for 16 projects. Each selected project is going through the administrative process for finalizing contract of finance. We also announced the deadline for the second selection on this Friday, July 29th, end of this week. 17 partner countries have priority, and we accept proposals for the Indo-Pacific region and African countries in parallel with the bilateral negotiations. This is the outline of Jcm mod project for this year. Budget is 17.1 billion yen, or about $132 million for 3 years. The maximum amount of financial support per project is 2 billion Japanese yen, or about $1.5 million. I will touch upon international consortium by next slide. Scope of financing is for facilities, equipment, which reduce carbon dioxide from fossil fuel combustion, and related construction cost. The selected process starts from the date of notice of contract of financial support. Please be noted that any contract or purchase order must be conducted after the contract of finance, and they need to finish installation within 3 years. About maximum percentage of support and cost effectiveness, I will refer a bit later. This figure shows a typical form of international consortium. A representative participant has to be a Japanese entity, and at least one partner participant will be partner country's entity. Project participants are responsible for the project totally. Partner participants must own and use equipment introduced by the model project. This is because those equipment need to be properly operated and maintained for greenhouse gas emission reduction activity throughout the period of credit issue. Then, what kind of projects are supported by the Jcm financing program? It is described in guideline for submitting proposals, and please refer it in details. Some key points are as follows. Project must reduce energy-related carbon dioxide emission with leading decarbonizing technologies. Project contribute to realization of SDGs in partner country and comply with relevant laws and requirements for the regulation and international practice should be followed. Achieved reduction of greenhouse gas emission must be measured and quantitatively calculated and verified for issuing Jsm Credit. Project need to reduce emission of greenhouse gas and must include reduction of energy-related carbon dioxide emissions. For instance, a project that reduces only methane or SH6, PFC, HFC, N2O is not adequate as a model project. This figure shows that methane is burned and disappear. However, at this point, it is not good enough to be a model project. A boiler makes steam by the heat generated by burning methane. The steam will then be used rotating a turbine to generate electricity, and if it replaces grid power, then it could reduce consumption of electricity from burning fossil fuel, the source of carbon dioxide. This is the process that could make a project. The model project should contribute to the sustainable development for the partner country. We review projects as they contribute to sustainable development goals. Jcm model project reduces greenhouse gas emission, so basically work and good for SDGs and contribute to sustainable society. This is an example as possible contribution of renewable energy project to SDGs for your reference. One of the main purpose of Jcm is to issuing Jcm Credit. For the credit, first thing you do after implementing equipment is the action of MRV or measurement, reporting, and verification. This shows the procedures we should follow for the issuance of Jcm Credit. We GEC also support this MRV process for participants. This is a table of applied technologies for each partner country. We devised this adding latest or last year's new technologies. Based on the number of projects on this table, maximum financial support is limited. If proposed technology is the first one, the maximum financial support is 50% of total cost of a project. They are blank cells in this chart. Then rate goes down to 40% and 30% by the number of already applied technologies for each country. This is because the first one has the greatest impact in terms of diffusion of technology as it is newly introduced then the second and the third. This is a criterion of cost effectiveness, that is financial support versus amount of greenhouse gas emission reduction. We set this value less than 4,000 yen, or about 31 US dollar. This acts as a ceiling of the budget for some project. Recently, there is a lot of proposals for certain technologies in some countries. If the number of applied technologies reaches 5 in a country, this value decreases to about 3,000 yen. And if the number exceeds 10, it diminishes to about 2,500 yen. And hydropower project in Indonesia is for this. And also, if the number reaches 20, the maximum value would be 2,000 yen. This year, we added a guideline of the criterion for specific technologies of solar power and hydropower projects. We set the value of them to 2,500 and 500 yen respectively, to set suitable value based on type of technologies. We consider this criterion as important because we should dispatch limited budget effectively to as many projects as possible. We improve the scheme of Jcm model project every year to accept variety of projects in many fields and business areas. Jcm Eco scheme is one of this approach, introduced in 2020, which is dedicated for leasing business to use this financial support conveniently. And the uniform finance support of 10% of project cost, which is lower than the general project. The merit of this shorter obligation period, this scheme is that a shorter obligation period of monitoring and simple documentation to apply easily. Again, we improve this scheme to create more opportunities for many business partners to join. And then let me explain about a newly added criterion, that is business and human right. This is listed in evaluation criteria of eligibility number 13, introduced on sheet number 13. We are expecting the representative participant as well as partner participant to take the best possible measures to respect human rights, such as introducing human rights due diligence process, to have enough dialogue with stakeholders, and have responsible in the supply chain of the procurement or introduction of appropriate product. For details, there is a booklet issued by Ministry of Foreign Affairs Japan of this URL. GC is promoting paperless action and digital transformation. This year, we introduced a new system that enables applicants to apply electronically via the internet. IT solutions contribute to make our work effectively or efficiently. And we hope the system enables participants to apply more easily and more conveniently. We will further improve the system and continue to make it more user-friendly. The second agenda. From here, I will introduce the result of the selection of Jcm financing model project this year, which is still ongoing, and last year's selection. In this tough situation of COVID-19, we are accepting many excellent projects. These are the projects for the first selection of this year. Project entity with the red characters are newly selected representative participant. it is important to have a lot of participants for further expansion of Jcm model project, so they are very welcome. I will explain a project selected in Indonesia by next slide. This project reduces energy consumption and emission of carbon dioxide by installing natural gas-fired high-efficiency one-cell boilers in the factory, where coal-fired boilers mainly have been used. One-cell boiler could save energy greatly for its energy efficiency of almost 100%, and operating system for boilers could control appropriate number of machines due to varying demand. This type of boiler is now popular in Japan, and we hope this project contributes to the diffusion of the technology in Indonesia. This and the next slide show the selection of last year project in 2021. Indonesia has 5 selected projects last year. I'll explain this project from next slide. This is the first one. The project is a solar power system organized by Sumitomo Forestry Corporation as their first JCM model project. They are a forestry company and conducting environment-friendly activities, and this is one of their actions. 3.3 megawatt solar power system will be installed on the rooftop of factory to generate renewable energy consumed in the factory. This is the guideline for solar power module. This kind of project is very popular in JCM model project. It counts the highest number among variety of proposed technologies. We welcome this renewable energy project as a good energy source replacing fossil fuel. On the other hand, we need to confirm that proposed technology is advanced one. So we set the condition for photovoltaic module of its conversion rate from optical to electric energy to 20% or higher. Although a lot of solar power projects has been selected, there is still room to increase total performance of those systems. One potential idea is to employ battery or accumulator in the system. In the JCM model project, so far only 2 projects were selected, one of which is in Indonesia. We would like to promote this category by making conditions clear for participants applying this technology. These are the points we require for this technology. This project is organized by Fumakira, who is one of famous insecticide or repellent manufacturer. They are doing good business in Indonesia. It is important for us all to be protected from infectious disease such as dengue, malaria. So their products are essential for efficiently keeping away mosquitoes and other insects. To produce their main product of mosquito coil or repellent, high and stable temperature is required for production, and this oil heater works well. The system is installed in their branch factory near Jakarta and already started their operation. This is 6 megawatt mini hydropower project by in Basay River, Lampang province, organized by a Japanese branch company of WWS, who is one of major hydro turbine manufacturer in Austria. The project provides renewable energy and contribute to the reduction of greenhouse gas emission by installing 2 units 3x2 of run-of-river type hydro power system. This is also a project by WWS of 2.3 megawatt mini hydropower in Meresom River, Lampang province. This project contributes to the achievement of Indonesia's national energy policy target of increasing the share of renewable energy to at least 33% by year 2025. These two projects also could create jobs in the area and enables them to operate the system by themselves in the future. This is a second project of Otsuka Pharmaceutical Factory Incorporated for their infusion manufacturing factory. First one was selected in 2018 and already started the operation. This will save energy by introducing new type of high efficiency autoclave. Hot water injected into the autoclave is maintained at a high temperature by heat exchanger, and adequate amount of steam is supplied to realize reduction of natural gas. And also, hot water used in the sterilization process is reused so that the amount of the water is greatly saved. Now we move on to the project trend of Jcm model project. This chart shows an accumulated number of projects by sector of energy saving, blue one, renewable energy, orange one, and others for all of the model projects. By pie chart on the top, you can see that energy saving and renewable energies sectors dominate. As a recent trend, number of renewable energy projects has been increasing and it adds up to 100. In this renewable energy sector, photovoltaic system count most of 74 projects, which constantly proposed from early stage of the model project. The second count is mini hydro system, then biopower generation system. In this sector, there are wind power system and geothermal power generation system. The renewable energy project tend to contribute for mass reduction of carbon dioxide, and we anticipate to have more proposals and welcome to add variation in this field. This chart shows all energy saving projects proposed till now. There is a lot kind of technologies selected for JCM model project. Most utility equipment are covered by technology proposed for the JCM model project. They are boiler, chiller, transformer, pump, air compressor, inverter, and so on. Also, it has air conditioning system and the controller. Also, LED lighting system for building. As for production line in factories, injection mold machine, mold plastic, aeration system for sewage, alcove, autoclave, rooming machines, and there's a lot has been selected. The important point of this category is that they are effective in the industrial field and useful for factories. These products save energy effectively by minimizing the usage of power or heat and reduce energy cost. That is important and fascinating for management of factories or plant also. Then let's move on to the project trend in Indonesia. This is a summary sheet for Asian Pacific region. This area has 169 model projects, that is 90% of the project in all partner countries. The pie chart shows renewable energy and energy efficiency sectors dominate the number, also in Asia Pacific area. This is a trend chart by sector. You can see the renewable energy has been adding their project where mini hydro and biomass system started to add their number since 2016. And energy saving technologies are selected constantly. This is a trend by sector in Indonesia. Renewable energy project, orange color, has been increasing. Many energy efficient projects are selected from the beginning of the JCM and have constantly proposed. We also expect proposals in other sector of waste to energy and more projects for energy efficiency improvement and transportation. We continue to support to create new projects in Indonesia. This is all the technology selected in Indonesia till last year. Small hydropower plant count 10 projects. 4 solar power plant and chiller project, 3 boiler, 2 gas cogeneration system, and biomass power plant to generate energy. There are other technologies like absorption tiller, looming machine, autoclave, heat pump, injection molding machine. They have been introduced for industrial field. We have selected and add new project, so technology is getting diversified year by year, and this demonstrates that the Jcm model project can be useful for a variety of fields. Conclusion of my presentation. In many areas, the technology of model project has been applied. Lighting in retail store, solar power system on shopping mall, heat pump in hotel, and variety production equipment in factories in industrial field. We have already introduced many systems for utility field, a solar power system on reservoir, methane gas recovery system, rice husk power generation system, waste to power generation, and in the transportation area also. As you can see with these pictures, Jcm model project is effective for international promotion of infrastructures. So you have a lot of opportunity to make use of this model project to accelerate and reinforce infrastructure in Indonesia. This shows representative participants for the Jcm model project. There are many Japanese companies taking part in this scheme and cooperate to proceed reduction of greenhouse gas emission in partner countries. Their business vary in many fields such as wholesale, retail, food, chemical, textile, electric, automobiles, transportation, consultation power, construction, and finance, and other services. In this figure, there are many companies. Some of them you may already heard of their name. It is important to have a lot of participants for further expansion of the project. So we continue to make effort to add more companies to join and create more projects to promote action for reduction of greenhouse gas emission in Indonesia. COVID-19 has been imposing trying time to people in Japan, people in Indonesia, and everyone around the world. The Jcm model project also have been affected by this pandemic. However, project participants try hard to complete their project on time, even in this pandemic. They modify project plan flexibly and recover unexpected event or minimize schedule delay. We have to support participants toward completion of their project successfully. It is true that COVID-19 limits us to some extent. However, we keep our activity going by these alternative or recovering ways not to lead the action of greenhouse gas emission reduction for our precious environment. It is important that, I can say that it is reported that yesterday, newly infected people in Japan was 127,000 and 22,400 in Tokyo. We are still suffering. However, we hope the sun will rise. We eager to visit Indonesia again for site inspection or occasion like this seminar. Hopefully, I can meet you all directly in Indonesia for the seminar next time. We are waiting many applications of Indonesian project. I'm happy if my presentation helps your better understanding of JCM model project. Thank you for patience. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Mr. Takahashi, for that presentation. And I would like to invite the next guest speaker, Ms. Akiko Ishikawa. She's a manager at Financing Program Group at Tokyo office at Global Environment Center Foundation. And her presentation is entitled Introduction of JCM Global Match. So Ishikawa-san, you have the floor.
Okay, thank you very much. Hello, everyone. Selamat siang. I'm Akiko from DEC. Today, I would like to explain briefly what you can do with our business matching site called JCM Global Match. It is a free service for all companies around the world. JCM Global Match has many registered users from more than 40 countries. The first step to use JCM Global Match is to create your account by registration. After that, you can do 3 things in the site. These are find, advertise, and discuss. It is mandatory to form an international consortium before you apply for JCM model project. And a consortium must consist of at least 1 Japanese entity and 1 partner country entity. So it is essential to find your partner company in the counterpart country. JCM Global Match site will be of some help to you in this step. Now I will explain 3 features: find, advertise, and discuss in more details. Number 1, you can find potential business partners and contact them directly. One way to find your partner is searching. At the top of the page, you can always see a word search window. Please put in any word you may be interested in, like solar, Indonesia, hydro, specific company's name, and so on. Let me share another way to find a potential partner. It is the list. You can obtain company list from the menu bar and 4 picture banners at the top page. Each of the 4 banners represents one of the company categories: seller, buyer, consultant, or financer. A seller means companies to provide decarbonizing technologies as shown in the slide. A buyer means companies to acquire such technologies. While browsing the list, you may find some persons interesting. When you find such a person, click his or her name to open his or her account page and press the matching request button to send a message. If approved by that person, you will be able to contact him or her directly on the platform. You also obtain his or her email addresses. Now I will explain second advantage of using JCM Global Match site. You can advertise your company in the site. In order to advertise your company efficiently, your account information needs to be seen or read by many of your potential partners. So please fill in the registration form and show attractive information about your company, products, and services. The key place to fill and show your information is specialties. The button to make your specialty card is on the top page. Here is the image of the top page. The button is the one circled with a green oval. On filling your specialty card, please choose one company category from the 4 categories. The 4 categories are seller, buyer, consultant, and finance again, as you can see in the slide. By selecting a category, your company information will show up in the list of selected categories. It will also be displayed in the list under the specialties button on the menu bar. If you are not sure which category to choose, don't be too serious and just choose whatever close. Another way to advertise your products and services is to enter into open discussion, a chat room for all users. Any topics will be welcomed here as long as it is related to decarbonization businesses. Be sure to make an attractive and concise title. When you post a topic there, we are happy to let the all registrants know of them by mail magazines. The third thing you can do is to discuss. You can discuss your business plan and other topics with other users in this platform. As I mentioned, you can discuss your business plan in the open discussion chat room. In addition, you can communicate with other users at an invitation salon too. Invitation salon is a private chat room with limited users you chose and invited. After discussing here, you may shift to direct communication by exchanging emails. For more details, please visit JCM Global Match site and see the pages under the How to Use button in the menu bar. You can also ask us anything via inquiry form on the right side of menu bar. We are waiting for your contact. Thank you for listening. Terima kasih banyak. See you next time on the JCM Global Match site.
Thank you very much, Ishikawa-san, for that presentation. And I'd just like to reiterate, whoever is interested in using JCM, but not sure who to work with, JCM Global Match is a great place to meet other companies, both in Japan and Indonesia, who are also interested in applying for JCM. So if you haven't registered, we would like to encourage everyone to take a look and create an account. So with that, I would like to introduce the last speaker for this part of the event, Mr. Shintaro Fujii. He's a fund manager for Japan Fund for the Joint Credit Mechanism and Environment and Climate Change Specialist at Asian Development Bank, with the presentation entitled Japan Fund for the Joint Credit Mechanism, Jcm, and Support for Geothermal Power Generation Project in Indonesia. And unfortunately, he's not able to be with us today. So what you'll see is a video recording of his presentation from the other day. So if my colleague could start the video, please.
Good afternoon, everyone. Let me share my screen. All right, so let's get started. Good afternoon, everyone. So my name is Shintaro Fujii, fund manager of the Japan Fund for the Joint Crediting Mechanism, Jsjcm, from Asian Development Bank, ADB. Thank you very much for inviting me to this important event. Jcm is one of financial support schemes for JCM projects. We are currently supporting the geothermal power generation project in Indonesia. Today, I would like to provide an overview of Jcm and introduce the geothermal project in Indonesia. Before speaking on Jcm, let me mention about ADB's Strategy 2030, which is ADB's long-term corporate strategy that sets ADB's course on how best to respond to Asia and the Pacific's changing needs. ADB sets climate change as one of the 7 operational priorities. Under the Strategy 2030, originally we aimed to mobilize $80 billion in climate finance cumulatively from 2019 to 2030, but we have raised our ambition last October to achieve $100 billion in the same period. Also, ADB committed that at least 75% of its operations will support climate action by 2030. In addition, ADB's Strategy 2030 set ambitious targets for providing reliable energy access to all, together with the amplified calls for action on climate change. With this regard, we have released the new energy policy last October, which gives more emphasis on promoting low carbon transitions across the region. ADB has been implementing its carbon market program more than 10 years for incentivizing investments in low carbon technologies in developing countries in Asia-Pacific region. Jcm is one pillar in the carbon market program, shown in the orange box here. Let me move on to the overview of Jcm. Jcm was established in 2014 as one of ADB's trust funds contributed by Government of Japan. The cumulative amount of the contribution is $95.8 million. Jcm provides grant for adoption of advanced low carbon technologies in ADB financed projects that use Jcm. Both sovereign and non-sovereign projects are eligible. Sovereign projects mean projects in which ADB lends to central governments or other entities with government guarantee, and non-sovereign projects means projects in which ADB lends to the private sector or other entities without government guarantee. This shows roles of key entities in Jcm projects. ADB is at the bottom right part. ADB provides a loan to project participants, and the Jcm team provides grants and other supports to project participants so that they can meet Jcm requirements. Jcm eligible countries are these 11 countries, including Indonesia, written in blue here. This shows Jcm support schemes. For sovereign projects, Jcm provides grant for incremental cost between advanced low carbon technology and business as usual technology. Maximum amount of grant is 10% of total project cost, capped to $10 million. When the total project cost is less than $50 million, then $5 million is maximum amount of grant. For non-sovereign projects, Jcm provides grant as an interest subsidy to ADB's loan. This means that the borrower will repay the loan with reduced interest as a result of receiving the grant from Jcm. Maximum amount of interest subsidy is 10% of total project cost, capped to $10 million. If the private sector participants here consider using Jcm, then you need to use ADB loan. This is the entry point for using Jsjcm for non-sovereign projects. This is a list of the projects supported by Jsjcm. We have 6 projects, and the geothermal power generation project, phase 1, is the latest one, number 6, that was approved by the government of Japan in last April. We have committed $10 million grant to the project for introduction of advanced low carbon technologies to the project. Jsjcm provides additional financing to the project, and this has to be approved by ADB management, which is expected within third quarter this year. In the meantime, the project is making progress for preparation of bidding documents of the Patuha Unit 2 geothermal power plant, which Jsjcm will support. I will explain more detail of the project in next slides. This is the basic data of the project. The overall project support geothermal project development in Indonesia with $469.2 million. The estimated cost for the Patuha Unit 2, which Jsjcm will support, was originally $79.43 million, and to be supplemented by Jsjcm with $10 million. The executing and implementing agency of the project is PTE Geodipa Energy. The Patuha geothermal power plant is located around 30 kilometers away from the capital city of West Java, Bandung, and 185 kilometers from Jakarta, as you see in the map. These are some of the photos of the project site for the Patuha Unit 2. At the top left side, you can see a power plant, and this is the Patuha Unit 1. In the area next to this plant, the new Patuha Unit 2 will be developed. The original components of the Patuha Unit 2 plant include 4 points. First, drilling of new wells for the production and re-injection of reservoir fluids. Second, construction of steam gathering and fluid re-injection systems connecting the wells and generating units. Third, construction of 55 megawatts net output power plant and Patuha. Transmission interconnection systems between the plants and the grid, and the expected emission reductions are around 5.28 million tons of CO2 equivalent over 20 years. With the Jsjcm support of $10 million for the Patuha Unit 2, the project will introduce the first of its kind technologies for large-scale geothermal power plant. And we expect 4 points. First, improved plant efficiency to convert steam to electricity. Second, minimize degradation of plant performance. Third, improved reliability, reduced unplanned outage periods of the geothermal power plant. Fourth, therefore, the renewable energy penetration into existing grid will be achieved, and greenhouse gas emissions will be further reduced. With this, the amount of GHG emission reductions to be achieved by the project will be increased to around 5.47 million tons of CO2 equivalent. Next, let me quickly introduce the 5 advanced low-carbon technologies supported by Jsjcm for Patuha Unit 2. The first one is a steam turbine with advanced design. The turbine should be designed with lower condenser pressure to improve plant efficiency and lower steam consumption. Axial exhaust turbine is one of such advanced design, where turbine exhaust steam flows to the condenser without changing flow direction. This technology is the largest contributor of additional GHG emission reductions enabled by the Jsjcm support. Second, it is the anomaly predictive diagnosis using Internet of Things, IoT, and artificial intelligence, AI. This will enable GeoDeeper to respond issues before equipment failure, which will reduce unplanned outage period of the power plant. Third one is the direct drive motors for cooling tower fans. This will reduce parasitic load, resulting in improved plant efficiency. Fourth one is the hybrid type cooling tower fuel. This will reduce degradation of plant performance, as it is less likely to clog compared to other conventional fuel types. And finally, the monitoring of temperature distribution inside the cooling tower using optical fibers. This will optimize the operation and maintenance of the cooling tower, contributing to minimizing performance degradation. In conclusion, ADB strongly commits to continue assisting Indonesia and other member countries in addressing climate change with its increased ambition for climate finance. ADB is embedding climate change mitigation and adaptation measures in its infrastructure investments and supporting Indonesia's nationally determined contribution goals under the Paris Agreement. Jsjcm is exploring more potential projects to help decarbonize Indonesian economy in various sectors, including energy, transport, waste management, water, and others. The private sector plays a key role in this regard. ADB will continue to play a major role in financing climate-related private sector projects in Indonesia, including support for greater use of cutting-edge clean, renewable, and energy-efficient technologies. Hope this presentation is useful, particularly for the private sector participants today, so that we can develop more Jsjcm financed projects in Indonesia. So let me stop now. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. Unfortunately, he was not be able to with us, but I think it was a great comprehensive introduction to Jcm for those who are not familiar with the program. So with all that, I'd like to thank all the speakers for this session, and we're moving on to Q&A. And I would like to invite Mr. Jiki-san back to the screen, and then also Kudo-san from the Ministry of the Environment back to the screen as well. And I just want to pick up one question that were asked by some of the audiences today on the Q&A. And so I think it's something that a lot of audience attendees are interested in. So I thought it would be great for you to sort of respond to that question again live so that everyone can hear more directly from you. So I'd like to start with Dicky-san, if you don't mind. And what I wanted to ask is, so there was a question about the areas or technologies that either Indonesia or Japan will like to see more applied or under the JCM program. So maybe I'll move one more step into that and ask to you, Dicky-san, so you also shared areas and technologies that I think a potential collaboration during your presentation, and you listed a number of things: solar panels, energy efficiency, energy storage, CCUS, and transport sectors. But what are the areas that you'd like to see under JCM that would particularly contribute to Indonesia's NDC more most effectively? I think Indonesia updated your NDC last year, and I think you have ambition of reducing up to 41% by 2050. So if you could share your thoughts on that, what are the areas that will contribute to your achieving your NDC?
Yeah, it is a very tricky question because we have a lot of technologies for reducing the emission. But if you ask me what will be the appetite of the Indonesia government and the Japan government for the decarbonization technology, so I can answer that. First is the energy efficiency. So if you talk about the energy efficiency, we have a lot of technology that already implemented well in Indonesia, from the very modest technology like replacing the lamps to the waste heat recovery and cogeneration, as well as the absorption chiller, for example. We will be very happy if we can receive this kind of proposals for the energy efficiency. And we think that there are a lot of opportunities both for Indonesia private sectors and Japan private sectors to implement this kind of technologies. We have some experiences that in industries and infrastructures that have been implemented by the JCM projects. We have found that the implementation were very good, and it can be replicated. So the JCM itself can be a kind of first implementer, and then with or without the JCM, the technology then can be implemented in Indonesia well. And the second is renewable energy. If we talk about renewable energy, so we are now receiving some proposal on the hydro, biomass, and solar. But unfortunately, until now, we have new regulation from the PLN that have a limitation for the solar, but we still discuss with the PLN on this matter. But we will receive any kind of the renewable technology as long as it will not be correlated with coal. So, for example, like the biomass co-firing, it will not be eligible for the JCM implementation because it will prolong the life of the coal. And the third, I also noticed that there are some questions about the REDD+ or about the AVOLU, afforestation and land use change. In this matter, until now, the JCM Indonesia already implement one project on the REDD+. This is on the Bualemo district in Gorontalo. But the project was withdrawn due to a new regulation of the government of Indonesia that the government would like to see all of the technology, but not the RED Plus, or but not the implementation of the LULUCF project in Indonesia, because it will be for the other scheme than the JCM. So yes, if you want to apply the JCM, it will be very easy. You can open our website, and there are a lot of step-by-step how to apply the JCM, including by using the global matchmaking process. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Diki-san, for that. And I'd like to ask Kudo-san similarly, since I think there's a great interest in the audience. From your ministry's point of view, what are some of the technologies that you would like to see perhaps more in JCM in the coming years?
Yeah, thank you very much. So first of all, so during the presentation, we already received so many questions. Thank you very much for your interested in the Jcm project. We strongly looking forward to your proposal about the Jcm between Japan and Indonesia. So regarding the question, so from moderator, so in this year's financial program for the Jcm model project, we set the 3 focus areas. The first area is the renewable energy. Second is the green logistics, including transportation. And third is the waste management infrastructure. So these 3 areas we focused. So regarding, especially in the Indonesia, there is no project about wind power and geothermal and green logistics and waste power generation so far. So in these areas, we hope so in that field. So the proposal. So we're looking for that type of proposal. Thank you.
Thank you very much. So thank you, Diki-san and Kudo-san, for taking that question. And perhaps we'll take another question for other speakers. And since we have you on the screen, Mr. Florian Kitt from ADB, maybe we'll take up a question for you. Since we already have you on the screen. So I think there is a great interest among the audience about Jcm in general and about the geothermal project in Indonesia. But I was wondering if you could tell us a little more about perhaps there are some areas or technologies that you would like to see applied for Jcm projects in the future. Are there any areas that you have great expectations for? So yeah, you have the floor.
Thank you so much, Kao. Welcome to everyone. Great hello around the virtual room. Hi, Diki. Hi, Kudo-san and other friends. Let me first express the ADB's appreciation to the government of Japan for the great support provided to Indonesia and ADB projects here. It's very beneficial for us to avail ourselves of this funding opportunity, which really greatly helps reduce carbon emissions and upgrade technologies used in the country. We are currently, as you noted, Kao, working very closely with Jcm on developing a geothermal project in Papua with and upgrading the technology with Jcm help. In my view, I mean, Jcm, I would really like to apply it for most of our projects which are under the energy transition, especially to bring new technologies. I think given the still slow development of renewable energy in the country, we could make use of advanced solar PV and integrated battery storage systems on a, I think, large scale with automated AI included. That would be very, very helpful. I'm also just thinking off the cuff, thinking about artificial intelligence in transmission and grid distribution technology. I think grids are an appreciated issue that we need to pay more attention to, especially upgrading technology to also reduce losses from the grid. Obviously, wind technologies, and more forward-looking, I think, where we have great opportunities, but where more development is needed is hydrogen and wind. That would be hydrogen and ocean energy. I think that would really be for the future. So I think we would need to do a bit of what other countries would already call bread and butter, solar and wind plus storage, and then looking forward, really bringing Japan's expertise also in hydrogen and looking towards the ocean wave technology. Let me stop here, and thank you again for inviting me to comment.
Thank you. Thank you. It was great. It was packed with new ideas. I hope some people in the audience heard that and thought, oh, there are some ideas there. Maybe we'll look into it. And we would like to greatly encourage everyone to just contact us or ADB if you have any questions, ideas about projects that could be applied under JCM. So thank you very much for answering that question. And then I'd like to just take up one more question, perhaps, for Takahashi-san from Global Environment Center Foundation. Just quickly for the last question, let me look at it. Perhaps you can share what are some of the important points that you could share with everyone in the audience that will sort of contribute to creating or developing a successful JCM project.
Okay, thank you for asking. And one important point is the demand. There is a demand for reduction of energy, electricity or fuel that's directly related to the reduction of greenhouse gas in the country in Indonesia. And the second point, to have Japan's representative participant, to have a connection with Japan's representative participant. Maybe JCM global match is helpful for matchmaking. And third point is to make firm or steady project plan, foresee the risk and make contemplated schedule is important. Projects tend to delay due to some reason, as not to get permission as planned, rising cost, and so on. And there are things what we cannot control, like the weather, heavy rain, storm, typhoon, and earthquake, and so on. So having margin time as enough as possible is also required. And last thing is to have good communication channel between Japan and Indonesia. In some in case some accident occurs at the site, it might be helpful and useful to report and consult with party in Japan as soon as possible. So the communication is very important. Thank you.
All right, thank you. Thank you very much. So yeah, thank you, Diki-san, Kudo-san, Kit-san, Takashi-san for coming back to the screen to answer the questions from the audience. So with that, I'd like to move on to the next session, and just thank you for sending all the questions. If I didn't take up your question live, your questions have been answered on the Q&A window. So if you could go back and then see the answers for that. And for the audience who haven't sent us any questions, there are a lot of good information there as well. So I encourage everyone to go take a look over there. So for this next session, my colleague, Ms. Risa Kikuchi, will take over the moderation duty. She's an assistant manager at the Financing Program Group at Global Environment Center Foundation. And she has been working on selection and management of JCM projects. And Kikuchi-san, welcome, and you have the floor now.
Thank you, Yamaguchi-san, for the introduction, and good afternoon to everyone. I'll be taking over for this session. Let us begin session 3. It's entitled Jcm Implementation in Indonesia. Let me welcome our first presenter, Mr. Wataru Yoshio. He's a director and executive officer at Nix Company Limited. He will give us a presentation about their 6 megawatt mini hydropower plant project in West Pasaman, West Sumatra. Mr. Yoshio, the floor is yours.
Can you hear me? Okay. Selamat siang. Nama saya Wataru Yoshio dari Nix Japan. Saya sangat senang bisa berada di sini berjumpa Anda semua. Okay, I will share my slide. Can you see my slide? Okay, I'll start my presentation. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce our business. Today, I would like to explain about 6 megawatt hydropower project in West Sumatra. Let me first introduce the Nix Group. Nix Group headquarters in Toyama and Tokyo in Japan. And our main business are infrastructure engineering business and IPP business. Nix Group, number of employees about 380. In 2019, we established Nix Indonesia Consulting as an engineering company in Jakarta to accelerate Indonesia IPP business. I'm also the president director of Nix Indonesia. In addition, we have established 4 SPCs in Indonesia and Singapore. This slide shows the structure of the Nix Group consists of 7 companies in the infrastructure engineering business and 3 SPC in the Japan IPP business and 5 companies in the overseas IPP business. As one of our strengths, we started the IPP business about 10 years ago in Japan and currently have a track record of designing more than 50 hydropower. In addition to planning and design, we also operate 3 own hydropower plants in Japan with in-house engineering. For expand this experience to our overseas business, especially in Indonesia, we started the development of 30 megawatt Ketan hydro project in 2016, and then 6 megawatt Tongal hydro project in 2019. In 2021, we jointly established Aramnix Renewables with a Japanese company to develop a rooftop solar business in Indonesia. I will explain the structure of the Jcm project scheme. The partner participants are PT Optima Tilta Energy and Nix New Energy from Japan as an Jcm consortium. Nix Indonesia, the engineering subsidiary, is also support OTE as our own owners engineering. And our project partner, PT Nusa Construction Engineering, is one of Indonesia's large independent private company. NKE conducts civil construction as owner's construction. As finance, the Tongal hydropower project is supported by equity from the Development Bank of Japan and loan support from many Japanese banks based on our experience and track record in hydro projects in Japan. The following section explains the project situation. Tongal hydro project is located in West Sumatra. The power plant is a run-of-river hydropower plant with net height 44.4 meter and water discharge 16 cubic meter per second. The project is expected to reduce GHG emissions by 18,319 tons CO2 per year. We can contribute to the realization of carbon neutral. This project has been developed by an Indonesian company since 2013, includes the acquisition of various licenses and PPA with PLN. However, construction had not yet started, but the project was proceeded through technical optimization by Nix Indonesia and Nix Japan as well as finance support from Japan. As a point of specialization in the Tongal project, I would like to explain our technical strengths. We are actively installing construction DX and utilizing BIM-SHIM technologies such as 3D model, 4D model, and BIM 316 in design and construction management. I'll introduce a movie of the 3D model produced by Nix Indonesia. Visualization in 3D model and sharing of image allows for the either interference checking of structures. Also, automatic quantity calculation using BIM 360 can reduce error and rework as well as simple tasks. In addition, by utilizing a 4D model, project management information, time, equipment, manpower can be added to the 3D data for modeling. We can simulate construction procedure according to the schedule. The 4D models enables concrete visualization of feasibility process and whether construction can be carried out with safety in mind. By sharing consistent information from design to construction management with the contractor, it is possible to improve the efficiency of construction management and construction quality. By using BIM 360, we have established a system that allows us to manage construction work remotely, and we manage construction progress from 4 locations: the site, the Jakarta office, Japan head office, and work from home. Unfortunately, risk is not separated in Indonesia project too. In also the Tongal project, a COVID-19 became epidemic, forcing us to suspend construction for about 2 months at the preparation stage under the instruction of the local government. In addition, as a result of regular inspection of the construction site, there are some positive cases, but fortunately, no one was serious sickness. On February 25, 2022, a magnitude 6.2 earthquake occurred near the Tongal project. The epicenter of the earthquake was really close to the site, so there are concerns about the critical damage caused by the earthquake. Fortunately, there are some cracks, but no major critical damage to the main structure. As a result, our technical capability were assured by the fact was little damage despite the large earthquake. In addition, since public roads in the surrounding area were damaged by the earthquake, we decided to give priority to the reconstruction of the local area and stop the construction of our project for a time in order to carry out repair work by our fund. However, we are able to contribute to the community as our CSR activities. Next, I would like to provide an update on the current status of the latest construction progress. The intake weir is almost complete, and civil work is ongoing in parallel work, where intake, sand trap, waterway, intake gate, head pond, penstock, powerhouse. We keep optimization both economically and quality. I will introduce drone movie. 2 engineers from Nix Indonesia are stayed at the site as the owner's engineering. They are effective in construction management. In addition to daily process reports, we can monitoring all process in real time by every week at drone movie. We are currently working for COD in December 2022. Finally, Nix Group will continue to contribute to decarbonization society through renewable energy business and aiming to be a resilient company needed by a sustainable society. We will continue to accelerate hydropower development in Indonesia and looking forward to contact from developer and project owner. Let's start collaboration for future project. I would like to thank everyone involved in the JCM project in both Indonesia and Japan, our employee and all stakeholders. Thank you for your attention. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Mr. Yoshio, for a very informative presentation with very nice visual aids. Our next presenter is Mr. Masanori Fuji. He's a project manager of International Project Division at Oriental Consultants Company Limited. His presentation is titled Zero Carbon Society Development in Bandung City through Energy Saving of Infrastructure System and Mobility Improvement. Mr. Fuji, the floor is yours.
Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Masanori Fuji from Oriental Consultant, Japan. Thank you for the opportunity to introduce our project, Zero Carbon Society Development in Bandung City through energy saving of infrastructure system and mobility improvement. Let me start my presentation. First, we would like to thank all the officers working with us from Bandung City and Kawasaki City, and the Ministry of the Environment in Japan for their full support. Let me begin with a project overview. In 2016, Bandung and Kawasaki signed a memorandum of understanding in the environmental field, followed by a 5 years extension in June 2020. Under this MOU, two cities are working on projects such as the waste management and water environmental management under JCM and MOE programs. Starting last year, we are conducting a research project with following three main activities. First is the energy saving in building sector. Second is energy saving for the infrastructure system. And third is mobility improvement and air quality management. Through these activities, we will try to contribute to development of zero carbon society in Bandung with the support of officers of international cooperation, environmental and transportation department of Bandung City. And Japanese side, Kawasaki City, we Oriental consultant and companies such as Daikin with air conditioning system, NEC with LED, and Green Blue Corporation with air quality monitoring system are also supporting our project. And next, let me introduce Kawasaki City. Kawasaki City declared their goal of zero carbon by 2050 with strategic plan and effective mechanisms. Their model area, Carbon Zero Action Mizonokuchi, offers an interesting example and hint for other cities. It is showcase of zero carbon action using renewable energy, waste power generation, electric car, and LEDs. The city government supports the companies in the area through subsidy, and the companies provide products or service for zero carbon. Approaching to the communities is also the key. Recycling plastics, sharing bicycle, and other simple but powerful daily action. This slide outlines our Oriental consultants' expertise and experience of city-to-city collaboration. I will outline the goal of city-to-city collaboration for Zero Carbon Society project. The first target is the system development. For example, Kawasaki City introduced their Kaspi Kawasaki last year as the workshop of this project. Kaspi Kawasaki is a mention for Kaspi Kawasaki is a method for evaluating and rating the environmental performance of building, and both cities learned each other about evaluation item and point. This achievement also means second target, capacity building and know-how transfer. City-to-city collaboration project is also expected to learn to lead to the next project using the Jcm. And Indonesia has declared the goal of greenhouse gas net zero by 2060. And we have also learned that Bandung City has environmental policies, regulation, and measures to develop as an eco-city. Through the meeting and workshop with the Bandung City and Kawasaki City, we have selected 3 activities to respond to the current condition and contribute to the zero carbon society in Bandung. For the project under the Jsm will be also our next step after this project. Activity 1 is energy saving in the building sector. In response to the rapid increase of modern building and urban energy consumption in Bandung City, we plan to conduct a model project, probably targeting hospital, and develop a facility renewal plan of air conditioning system, LEDs, and walls. We think BEMS the building energy management system will be the key to GHG reduction. Also, we plan to introduce the net zero energy building, which is one of the green building concepts from Japan. Activity 2 is a promotion of the energy saving for the infrastructure system. Last year, we researched the current condition and plans of streetlight in Bandung City. For this year's project, we would like to not only convert the streetlight from non-LED to LED, but also introduce smart LED too. Smart LED will not only reduce the power usage and CO2 emission, but also has more function such as supporting the traffic control, city security, and disaster prevention. Activity 3. Activity 3 is mobility improvement and air quality management, responding to heavy traffic congestion and the air pollution. We plan to approach from the both city, road traffic, and public transportation. For the air quality management, Bandung City mentioned at the workshop that air quality is improved, but the monitoring system does not cover the entire city. So we plan to introduce a monitoring plan and system, and hopefully install the monitoring system as a pilot project. The last slide is our 3 plans, as our 3 years plan. Unfortunately, we haven't had a chance to go to Bandung City yet since 2014. Yeah. But hopefully this year we will be able to visit the city and make this project better and more effective. Thank you for our presentation. Terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Mr. Fuji. It was another comprehensive presentation that covered a wide range of activities that you have been working on. Now we would like to thank again to the speakers for the presentations. We would like to move on to the Q&A session. Could I ask both of you a couple of questions from the organizer's side? So the first question is to Mr. Yoshio. What do you think was the key to keeping your project moving forward smoothly? What do you think was the key important element?
Okay. So yeah, of course, we proceed with the conservative plan, both technical and financial aspects, because we anticipate a variety of the problems. In addition, we especially consider relationship with our Indonesian partner, local residents, and the local government to very important. And always we are working to achieve a win-win situation. Yeah, sorry, like textbook answer, but this is my honestly answer. Okay.
Wonderful. Thank you very much to build a strong connection, stronger relationship with the local government. Thank you very much. We would like to ask Fuji-san as well. Another question. What do you think is a particularly promising and highly feasible technology for a JCM project that may be formed from this city-to-city collaboration?
We are considering the potential of the renewal of air conditioning. We have already set the traffic facility, target facility based on the recommendation of Bandung City. We are considering to focus on hospital as a target facility. Hospital is operating on 24 hours and is expected to reduce CO2 emission by renewal to high efficiency air conditioning.
Wonderful. Thank you very much. We have a little bit more time, so we would like to come back to Mr. Yoshio. Could I ask you another question?
Okay.
What has been the biggest challenge in implementing a JCM model project so far?
Could you answer?
Yes, yes. What has been the biggest challenge in the project? Yes, so far.
Of course, yeah, our hydro project is cannot control so smoothly. So, and now we really try. We have protect schedule. So under the various problem, yeah. But to be honest, yeah, our project is still not completed. Yeah, I'm still struggle with it now, but very challenging. Okay.
Right. Thank you very much. I think the challenges are yet to come too. So another question to Mr. Fuji now. Okay, what is the difference between KASBE, K-A-S-B-E-E, Kawasaki, and regular K-A-S-B-E-E? Does that make sense?
So, please again, sorry.
It's KASBE, K-A-S-B-E-E, Kawasaki, and regular K-A-S-B-E-E. What is the difference? We have this question from the organizer's side, but if this is unclear, I will ask you another question. Could I ask you another question?
Yeah, okay. Another question.
Okay, sorry.
Yeah, sorry.
Okay, so what has been, I would like to ask you a similar question that I asked to Mr. Yoshio. What has been the biggest challenge in the city-to-city collaboration so far?
Yeah, okay. When we developed this project with Kawasaki City and Bandung City, it was difficult to make communication there smoothly with Bandung City due to online meeting by COVID-19. However, as I mentioned, we are planning to visit Bandung City in September, or this October in this year. We would like to kick this year's activity into gear with Bandung City.
Wonderful. Thank you very much for your participation. Let me see if we have any question from the audience. If not, we would like to wrap up the Q&A section. I think, yes, for now we don't have any questions for you two particularly. So we would like to wrap up the Q&A session. Thank you very much again for participating. And I would like to now return the microphone back to Yamaguchi-san for the closing of the webinar. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Kikuchi-san, for taking over the moderation duty. And once again, thank you for the speakers for providing a great presentations. So before we close, I'd like to introduce Mr. Yuji Kimura for the closing remarks. He's Executive Director, Head of Tokyo Office at Global Environment Center Foundation. And with that, Kimura-san, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you. Thank you for your introduction. Good afternoon, everybody. On behalf of the organizers, I'd like to say a few words as a closing address. First, we deeply appreciate all of you for participating in today's seminar. We are also very grateful for the kind cooperation by the Indonesia JCM Secretariat and the coordinating Ministry of Economic Affairs of Indonesia. Without your cooperation, we could not have held this seminar successfully. We have held the Jsm seminars in Indonesia every year. Through those seminars, we have created an opportunity for people in Indonesia to learn and deepen their understanding about the JCM financing program. This year, following the last year, due to the influence of coronavirus, we held the seminar in a webinar format. But thanks to you, we were able to have a lot of participants today. For today's seminar, we have chosen accelerating the transition towards decarbonization through JCM as the main theme because of the recent rapid developments towards decarbonized society worldwide, including Indonesia and Japan. Indonesia's policies are to reduce the proportion of fossil fuels and increase the renewable energy proportion to 33% in primary energy mix in 2050, as well as introduce carbon pricing and green taxonomy. In Japan, the government strengthened its GHG emission reduction target by the year 2030 from 26% to 46%. The government has also declared to achieve carbon neutral society by the year 2050. These developments were presented by the representatives from the Indonesia JCM Secretariat and the Ministry of the Environment Japan in today's seminar. In achieving these national targets and goals, the cooperation between Japan and Indonesia is becoming much more important than before. JCM is one of the effective measures to realize, and high expectations are expressed by both governments' representatives. Last year's COP26 successfully agreed on various remaining issues, one of which is a set of rules for market mechanism and the Paris Agreement. JCM is one of the leading models of voluntary approach under the category of market mechanism, and the COP's agreement has given a concrete basis for JCM. We are now entering the phase of accelerating our efforts to develop more JCM projects and contributing to GHG reduction nationally and globally. From this point of view, in today's seminar, we have tried to give you the detailed information on how JCM model projects are proposed, selected, and advanced towards the project completion. Indonesia is the country which has been promoting JCM very actively and has the second largest number of JCM model projects among the partner countries. From those projects, we picked up a promising JCM model project, and the participating company of the project showed us the clear image of the project. It is important to formulate JCM model projects in ways to contribute to national and local policies. Based on this idea, the city-to-city collaboration scheme has been promoted for many years, and a good example of such collaboration in Indonesia was presented in today's seminar. ADB, Asian Development Bank, is also playing an important role in promoting JCM. Japanese government has established a special fund for JCM in ADB, which is named Jcm. In today's seminar, ADB has introduced this fund and showed you how this fund is used by companies that are interested in JCM. JCM has a great potential to promote the introduction and dissemination of a variety of decarbonizing technologies and contribute to combating climate change as well as achieving sustainable development goals in Indonesia. I hope this seminar has provided all the participants with the opportunity to know and utilize JCM. We are assisting companies which are interested in JCM through consultation. In addition, our JCM Global Match provides opportunities for sellers and buyers to find each other and formulate JCM projects together. We hope today's participants will actively use these opportunities. We are planning to hold webinars for other partner countries, so we would appreciate it if you could join us again. Finally, I'd like to express our sincere gratitude to all the speakers for their excellent contribution. Thank you very much, and terima kasih.
Thank you very much, Kimura-san, for the closing remarks. And hopefully it was a great informative event for all our attendants. If you have any additional questions or you had questions that were not answered today, please feel free to reach out to us, Global Environment Center Foundation. We're always happy to answer any questions and provide any guidance as necessary. We would also like to thank the Coordinating Ministry for Economic Affairs of Indonesia, Indonesia JCM Secretariat, as well as the Ministry of the Environment Japan for co-organizing today's event. And before I fully close this event, please take a moment to answer the questionnaire. It will appear on your web browser when you close your Zoom screen. It will only take just a couple more minutes to answer it, and we thank you very much for doing that in advance. And thank you very much again for participating in today's event, and we certainly look forward to seeing you again soon. And thank you very much, and goodbye.